Well, hello
And welcome back
to Your Take is Excrement, where we stumble our way through intros.
Yeah, we're new to this. We've never done an intro before.
What's a podcast? Where am I?
I stumbled in here.
Who are you?
Also, I want to bring this up now. I think that it sucks a lot that this is the second podcast in a row that I have been hungover on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Does that sound like May is developing a problem, or does that sound like coincidence to you?
I don't know. That's up to you. But I do want to say.
Are you also hungover?
No, I feel great.
Oh, fuck off.
No,
How did you do that?
I got 4 hours of sleep and I drank a lot of water.
For context, we went out and did a big, crazy show yesterday at Meow Wolf, so we've been going ape shit. Don't worry about it. Anyway, having fun.
And
Getting drunk at Ikea at noon.
yeah,
Think about it, right?
Yeah,
It's a pretty decent idea.
Ikea is the best SCP, and you can fight me on that.
Yeah, I mentioned that to somebody yesterday, and they laughed also. They
Anyway,
also thought that was hilarious.
I just want to say
yeah.
we're trying to get these out on time. There's just been a lot of scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, well, so there'll be like an event thing, or there'll be like travel problems, or I've been in the process of doing a little bit of like moving shit. So I've been like traveling all over the goddamn state, all the time. So like
we're doing our best over here.
we are maintaining, but even though we are so busy all the fucking time, it seems, we still find a way to see a movie every now and then.
To see a movie. And,
yeah.
And then we sit down and we tell
the
y'all
people about the movie.
In our takes.
Yes.
So the movie for this week is Call Me By Your Name.
Yes.
A movie where... Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No, you go.
I go?
Off.
All right. A movie where Twink Timothy Chalamet gets absolutely destroyed by
a vampire murderer.
Yeah, what's the actor's name?
Armie Hammer.
Huh.
His name even sounds like he's a secret murderer.
Literally, like, right before I walked in here to do this podcast, my friends on Discord were talking about how much they want to beat Armie Hammer to death.
With an Armie Hammer?
Well, I think with a brick was the expression.
Isn't that good?
I'm going to show you, like, unironically.
Oh,
it was
wow.
like the last thing I saw before we sat down to do this.
Are we killing him?
Is
everybody's getting together and we're going to kill Armie Hammer?
People talking about how much they hate Armie Hammer.
Wow, they do. Armie Hammer's face looks so punchable to me. It's unbelievable. I know his great-grandfather was from Odessa, too, but I refuse to apologize for my stance. Yeah, that's fair. Also, I didn't mention this, but my name is May.
Oh, and I'm Neo. You can find us on Twitter at Nick Spheres and at Ancient respectively.
Yeah.
Respectively.
You can also find the podcast on Twitter.
Your Take is X.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Patreon /Excrement.
Yeah, and our sponsors for the day are?
Our sponsors are Machine Age Productions. And their short film 9 on the Nick's Horror Collective on Shudder.
It's coming up, right?
Yeah, on August 13th, I finally got that sequencing right from memory.
Yeah.
And Ambient Dream Studio, the Etsy store. Be sure to go check both of those out.
Yeah, and we'll have some more spaghetti coming out of the oven, which is not how you prepare it, later on in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can like bake spaghetti. It's actually pretty good.
We gotta make the spaghetti over here. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right, bitch. It's time to fucking round with the movie. The first things first. The season. What we've been trying to do here for the last many episodes at this point is talk about the like literally me Sigma male movies.
Right.
Which is basically just like any old movie that a bunch of dudes are just like, yo, I want to be like that. I decided to make my whole personality out of that. But as we've mentioned in prior episodes, our real definition of this is the view that like that it's a man's world and it should maintain being a man's world.
Yeah.
And so out of fucking nowhere, I must admit, we are going with Call Me By Your Name, which a lot of people don't associate as being kind of Sigma male-y.
Yeah.
But I as a fan of the film, would say it is.
A fan, you say?
I liked it.
I'm
it was
gonna
sexy. I got
hold my
wet and
opinion
scared.
for a little bit. But okay, before we really get into the movie though, I just want to
Yeah.
bring up something. So like at work, I have this coworker.
Yes.
And he's a really cool dude. He's like 20, and he was like really sheltered. And I mean, but he's like a really nice, cool dude. And like a couple weeks ago, the dude comes in, starts talking about how funny Andrew Tate is.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I have just been watching this dude's like slow descent into inceldom.
Uh-huh.
And it's like unironically breaking my heart. It's like really tragic.
Yeah. Well,
and it's like every time he says something, like it's like I'm faced with it's like do I explain to him how fucked up it is,
right.
or is me trying to educate him only gonna like make it worse?
I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but there's like this lineage for the incel as far as like limiting their own dating pool into oblivion. So like, you know, an incel would argue that they are not having sex because women will not have sex with them. But the truth is, like, they've probably like tried to date prior, and then like they were frustrated that their girlfriend was more left leaning than Hitler, so they were
Right.
like, oh, that's a problem. So they probably like felt detached from them because they were like, well, I'm the only one that's smart with my politics. And then they do that until they develop this sense where the only people they could ever date are basically like right wingers.
Right.
And then, like, I don't know if you've seen a lot of right wingers, but they're not particularly hot. George Carlin has that bit that's like, have you noticed that all the pro-life people are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place? Which is very true. So the incel is like, oh, okay, so 51% of the population are women, that's who I'm going to date. And then like, okay, but most of them are not conservative. So then you limit the pool. And then most of them are, you know, most conservative women are older. So they want to date young, hot women.
Right.
So young very limits your dating pool because there's
Right.
not a lot of young Republican women. And then attractive young Republican women,
Right.
even smaller. So they get to this place where the only people they could date are like these fake, not real imagined women that they'll literally never find.
Yeah.
So the fucked up thing I feel for incels is that they're literally in a trap of their own
Right.
design.
And it's like, this dude at work, he's like, I was talking with my boss outside of the room he was working in.
Yeah.
And he was talking to some other dudes, and he was like, all right, I have a question for y'all. If your girlfriend or wife has an OnlyFans, should you get half the money? Because, you know, it's like, she's your girlfriend. And everyone else in the room was like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
Yeah.
it's what? And he's like, well, because, you know, it's like, it's like, you have a say in her body because she's your girlfriend, so shouldn't you get half the money? And everyone else is like, no, dude, what? So it's just like,
yeah.
it's like, dude, you will never find a fulfilling relationship if that's your approach to women.
Yeah. Well, and so Call Me By Your Name.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I
well,
no.
No. I actually can segue this.
All right, segue away.
Call Me By Your Name has an interesting overlap with this because it's kind of about a guy who has sex with many women, and women not a problem for him. You know,
Right.
he's young, but he's gay, and he's scared of that. And so the only way that his homosexuality could really manifest is in this fantasy, somewhat older man
Yeah.
who makes him less afraid of being gay. And then essentially leads him to a place where he no longer fears being gay because he's like, well, I will do it with this guy.
Right.
And then that guy gets too afraid and stops being gay.
Yeah.
Destroyed.
And then leaves.
Yeah, so my thing here is that this movie actually has a lot of overlap with like incel bullshit for
Right.
some reason. Okay, I've mentioned this on the podcast before. The cis gay guy hating women, like cis gay guy misogyny thing. Holy shit! Like, call me by your name.
Right.
Like, he literally was just like, yeah, I fucked this one girl, but I ghost her because really I'm just down for this one dude's dick real bad. I'll even fuck a peach about it.
Right.
Like, wow, women are disposable, huh?
Right.
Anyway, so the thing that I've always mentioned about the Sigma male thing is that it's like they view it as being a man's world, and it will continue to do so. And the thing that I think the question on everyone's lips is, can a gay movie also exhibit the behavior of thinking it's a man's world and finding women to be inconvenient, discardable, or a problem? And it turns out the answer is...
Yes. I don't...
Oh, that's true.
I have my own mic. You don't need to...
No.
Provide me a second one.
I wanted everyone to know.
Okay. No, and I think... I don't know. Like, there's that angle on the movie. There's also a big old grooming angle on the movie.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of this. What's grooming?
Uh...
Is that like when you go get a haircut?
Yes, but...
Oh my god, okay, I'm sorry. That was just... Anyway. Yes, so that's the thing. Call Me By Your Name is a movie that I really like, but I feel genuinely bad about. Like,
right.
Because nothing about this is okay for me.
There's a little bit of Lolita just kind of
little
sprinkled
bit?
in here. Yeah. Well, I don't know. The whole movie feels like this really surreal, like... wet dream.
Yes. It is so, like, hyper realistically gay, but
it's like
unrealistically gay.
I don't know. It's kind of like a 17-year-old's like Tumblr post about it.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
when this movie came out, I believe Tumblr was still kind of cool. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so to summarize the movie,
Yes.
Timothée Chalamet is in Barcelona with his rich Jewish parents.
Yes.
And he speaks like every language, and all the ladies like him.
Yes, they do.
He's very popular and very hot, and everyone just likes him. And then his family has a guest coming over, who is a dude who just graduated college, or his master's or his doctorate, whatever, who's like the smartest. Like his dad's a professor, but this guy is able to like win arguments against his dad, and he's fit and he's athletic and he's hot, and all the women also want to fuck him.
Yes.
And everyone wants to constantly be around him because he's just so incredibly cool. Like, this motherfucker, Arnie Hammer, is like the coolest human being ever to exist in this movie.
Yes.
Well,
okay. Did we mention that this is the 80s?
Oh, yeah. It takes... Yeah,
this is important. Okay.
It takes place in the 80s.
Yes, the 1980s.
The 1980s.
Which was a great time to be alive, as evidenced by this film. Although, you must understand that being gay in the 80s was a bitch.
Yeah.
It was a bitch. It was bad. So, like, this could have only really happened in a little villa in Italy, briefly. In Barcelona, briefly.
Barcelona, Spain.
Oh, I'm a fucking moron. Anyway, Barcelona,
Until
briefly.
my brave freedom fighters free themselves from Spanish dominion.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. That's a deep cut.
Either way, my point is, if you're gay in America, you know, you got to deal with Reagan bullshit and AIDS and fucking all the things. So it's genuinely, like, fucking terrifying to be gay at that time. And a lot of people are just like, well, time to get myself a beard.
Yeah.
Got to grab that skirt as soon as possible. And so this movie is mostly about what, like, okay, it's about a lot of shit, but what it's really about is how devastating and deeply disappointing it must have been to be gay in the 80s, where while people were beginning to be more open about it and come out about it in the world a lot more, they were like shoved back into the closet, and that pretty much just like broke everybody's hearts and
Right.
killed everyone. So like, it's a crushing film, but it's crushing because that's like the reality of the situation. And then, like, alternatively, the film, if you choose to view it not through that lens, even though that lens is definitely a lens, you view it through a different one, you will discover that it's about how 17-year-old guys have a tendency to be manipulated by older gay dudes into being gay, and then they're like, actually, I am gay, and this is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, and I've heard people talk of this.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk of this as if it's some sort of fact. So I guess what does that mean? I'm not allowed to debate this. But I do know that Milo Yiannopoulos mentioned one time that he was like thankful that someone who was older than him like did a bad to him when he was younger, because it like allowed him to experience almost like, and I've heard this many times.
Yeah,
and
that's a weird pull. That's a very weird take.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily saying that like it's bad to discover you're gay when you're young, and I understand that discovering you're gay when you're young means having to fuck a dude when you're young, and that means that usually you're not going to be fucking like somebody who's equally 17 as you. I get all this stuff, but my point is like, okay, there's like explicitly meant to be this weird kind of age difference daddy thing going on, and I don't know.
Yeah, so they start off kind of hating each other, or Timothy hates this dude, and this dude is just kind of like being the cool bully towards Timothy Chalamet.
Yes.
And then they fall in love.
Well, they're at a party, and then Love My Way comes on, that song that's like, Love My Way, it's a new that song comes on. And then they all dance, and then they're fucked from that point. Like they're gay as shit from that moment.
And so then they, but the older dude keeps on being like, we really shouldn't do this because, it's not a great idea. Timothy Chalamet is like keeps on coming on hard to the old dude, and then Timothy Chalamet fucks a peach about it.
I'm so glad that's gonna be the thing.
Yeah, and then they end up getting together. Timothy Chalamet's parents support it. They mentioned in the movie. Here's like the one nitpick I have with the movie, or the one like narrative nitpick is like his dad is like, your mom doesn't know about this, and she doesn't need to know. This is a guy thing. But then like earlier in the movie, the mom goes to Arnie Hammer and is like, Timothy's really into you. You should like go hang out with him. You should be around him.
Well, yeah, both the parents are pretty into it, but the thing is, like, they're like, well, the dad is gay. That's the bit we find out at the end. The dad's gay, and he's like, you should enjoy what you've had because it was beautiful, and it was beautiful, and I didn't get to have it, and you did, and you should never hide this part of yourself ever, because you should live your life. And it's like pathetic. I'm just kidding. That was really rude. But no. My point is like he's just like he's like begging his son not to let this moment turn him back to being straight.
Right. Well, but then he goes and spends the old Arnie Hammer's last 4 days in Spain hanging out, and then Arnie Hammer leaves, and that's the end of the movie. So
he leaves and gets married to a woman.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay. So right off the bat, going back to the whole like older man like
Little boy.
little boy.
Okay, well, it's not a little boy.
No.
He's like a twink.
But it's still like I don't know. He's still underage. It's still problematic. And there's in this movie there's really big like, well, Timothy Chalamet just wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
It's like I was trying not to fuck the 17-year-old. The 17-year-old just wanted it so bad.
Well,
and what am I gonna do? Say no?
So I think that the point of contention for a lot of people here is if you're willing to entertain what the film is attempting, then you have to accept this and move on, which sucks.
Right.
But it is true, and it's true of many films. You know, it's
Right.
like the gateway for entry is, okay, this is going to be a very accurate depiction of the sexual feelings of 17-year-old gay boys towards older men and how they sometimes get to fuck them, and it's really weird.
Right.
And also, is that grooming? What is that? How does that work? It's nuanced. There's a lot going on. I remember when this film came out, there was this big debate where people were like, is Elio bisexual? And I was like, I raised my hand. I don't think so. I think he's exhibiting a lot of like compulsory heterosexuality for fear of like, or just like that's what he believes he's supposed to do.
Right.
He believes that's normal, so therefore he believes that that's what he's supposed to do. And then when he realizes that, you know, it's not fulfilling and there's a more fulfilling thing for him, he goes towards that. So does that make him bisexual? Well, he has had sex with multiple genders, but I don't think he's necessarily pursuing women. I think he generally discards them and views them like very, I want to say he belittles them a
Right.
lot. Yeah, so but like generally everybody likes him. It's not like anybody thinks that he's like a bad dude or anything like that. He just like has a tendency to go flying off into his own weird gay world.
Right.
And not realize that he's like 17, it's the 80s. You know, while his parents may be supportive, this guy isn't going to stick around forever.
No.
And yeah.
And I guess the point I was trying to make is like I'm like I don't. I think there is a lot more to the movie than just the age aspect.
Yes.
But I did just want to say it's like I think there's this like how do I want to put this like if it's a movie about a 30-year-old pursuing a 17-year-old girl,
Yeah.
then that's a giant yikes.
Yeah.
You know, so like even if she
Just because it's gay doesn't make it weird.
And
And
even
doesn't make
if-
it not weird.
even if she wants it or likes it or whatever, it's
Yeah.
like there's still this inherent age power dynamic. And so I think that like, you know, even if it's gay, that doesn't make it right. And
yeah.
I think that anyway, so I just wanted to like say that. So I'm not
No, I get you.
so but I also think that that thought died. I think my thought died.
Yeah. Well, so I feel like the film, you know, it depending on who you talk to, it either makes apologies for this sort of thing, or it just like accepts that it's some sort of fact about being gay. And that aspect of it is kind of like a problem.
Right.
Anyway, my
Well-
point is that it's the gateway for entry.
Yeah.
Either you're cool with it enough to watch the movie, or you genuinely are so bothered by this concept that in and of itself just kills it for you.
Well, so the thought I had is that something I appreciate about the film is how the film ends is it ends with Timothy Chalamet broken because the relationship dynamic was kind of fucked from the start, and
he didn't realize that until
he
it
didn't
hurt
realize
him
that,
deeply.
and he got burned.
Yeah.
Because ultimately he was disposable to Arnie Hammer.
Right.
Anyway, so I just want to say I think if you are going to do that narrative, I think that
Right.
that this is the way to do it, where you
At least
like,
they don't end up together.
Yeah, it's like you showcase like no, this was an unhealthy dynamic.
Yeah. Well, and so that's one aspect of it. That's one reading of it. I know that this is massively off topic, but I would also like to mention that Armie Hammer is a vampire murderer who drinks the blood of babies. Okay, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but did you look into this at all?
No.
So his Twitter DMs like leaked a while back,
Uh-huh.
and he supposedly not only was he like grooming a bunch of people, supposedly, he was also like, and I don't mean haircuts. Anyway, and he was fucking on there being like, "Yo, can you mail me your blood? I want to drink it. I want to cut you up one day. Is that weird?" And it's just like, yo, Army Hammer, I can't believe the things in your brain.
Right.
And I don't know if he's really been quite as respected in the world since that happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's probably some kind of sex criminal, maybe even a murderer. He claims that he's definitely done some.
I don't know. Anytime there's like an actor in Hollywood, that's just my assumption.
Is that they're a murderer?
No, that they're like a weird sex criminal.
Oh, okay. This is fair.
They've done like I don't know. I just feel like a lot of them have.
A lot of them at least have voyeurism fetishes, which is a little spooky. You know, and also a lot of them have narcissistic power fantasies where they're like, I want to see myself on a big screen. It's like, it's hard to view oneself that highly, I imagine.
And then
anyway,
have, like healthy sexual relationships.
Right.
Anyway.
Anyway. We're getting all over the place. My point is just like, okay, Call Me by Your Name, while being when it came out, it was fairly well praised. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. I was generally uncomfortable. That's how I would describe it. The second time I watched it, I was over the bullshit, and I thought that it was really romantic. And then I had this thought where I was like, there's not really a lot of gay movies that are genuinely romantic. It's like pornography, but with romance. There's not a lot of gay stuff like that. Does that necessarily make it good? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is definitely a movie you have to watch a couple of times to refine your takes.
Yeah. Well, in the last time I watched it, I genuinely was like, yo, I didn't give this a chance. Like, I probably should have. And I felt kind of bad about that.
Right.
But now that I've actually, like, given it the old college try, I can agree that there are massive problems with the age gap thing. I think that there's like an unhealthy power dynamic, but I also think that the movie depicts the unhealthy power dynamic,
right,
and doesn't like run away from that idea.
No.
I do think that it was really, really funny when I saw this movie in the theater, and everyone on Earth got up out of their seat and left the theater when Armie Hammer began drinking cum out of a peach.
On that
Good
note,
shit, huh?
What
Oh, is it ad break
I don't
time?
know. I was asking you what time it was because I forgot to start my timer.
It's about that time.
It's about ad time?
Yeah. So are we gonna go to the grocery store and find some fruits
We are gonna find some fruits.
To fuck?
To fuck. I mean, peaches are a good choice.
I want to fuck a pineapple.
A pineapple? That's an interesting pick. A little acidy, I would think.
Probably gonna hurt.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
You could do the Reddit classic and go with the pumpkin.
I want to fuck some kale. You know what I mean? just some big old leaves,
Some leaves. All right. Well,
some mint.
Speaking of fucked up, horrible, scary things.
Like fucking food?
Like fucking food.
See, that's the one. You remember those like icebergs and shit? No one ever put any of the weird like food fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think even those people want to acknowledge it.
Yeah, anyway.
Listen, here on Your Take is Excrement, we acknowledge any and everything fucking weird.
Yeah.
All right, and on an unrelated note, we'd like to thank Machine Age Productions and their short film 9 on the Nick's Horror Collective on Shudder, coming out August 18th.
Very excited.
Go watch that. Go enjoy that.
I sure am gonna Shudder. I sure am gonna shit my pants. Anyway, the next ad is for Ambient Dream Studios, which is a fantastic Etsy store covered in beautiful colors and art that you can put on your wall to cover up those like slightly yellowing walls from all the cigarettes that you're smoking at your desk. I know I'm talking to Hunter S. Thompson here apparently. Anyway, occasionally you gotta look up, and I know looking outside is nice, but consider looking at something that isn't outside, but is like an impressionistic version of outside, and it's kind of trippy, and it's like, whoa, this makes me remember back when I had time to do LSD. But now I don't. Anyway, Ambient Dream Studios is great. Check it out. Go buy some shit. Also, check out patreon.com/excrement.
Yeah, if you can listen to episodes early if we're ever able
Get around
to
to making them early.
get around to making them early and not late as fuck.
Yeah, if we ever catch up, everybody's going to be so happy over at the Content Farm.
Yeah.
But do genuinely go support us on Patreon. Helps out a lot. We're buying
Yeah.
a lot of new gear for shit, and we're gearing up for another season, so we got to have a bunch of shit together.
We might have to do a second season of the Sigma.
We're thinking about
We're
it.
thinking about it. Let us know if you want us to keep on railing on Sigma films or if you want us to move the fuck on. And we are going to do Come and See at some point. It is on the calendar.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But just let us know otherwise what y'all want us to keep doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, back to Call Me by Your Name.
Back to fucking a peach.
Yes. Oh, God. What else is there even to fucking say about Call Me by Your dad's name?
Timothy Chalamet speaking French is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Okay, well, that's
Well,
all right.
What, do you not share that opinion?
I'm gonna veto this.
You're gonna veto that?
I'm gonna plead
You
the
don't-
fifth.
You don't like Timothy Chalamet?
He's okay.
He's okay?
Listen, I am not ever gonna be the guy that's like, yo, fuck that hot person.
I don't wanna-
I'm just never gonna be that bitch. Right?
I don't want to.
But-
I don't want to fuck him. I'm just saying, like his.
No, I'm not saying I want to fuck him. I'm
Okay.
saying I'm never gonna be that kind of person who's like, fuck that person who's hot. Is my
Right.
point. But I will be the kind of person who's just like, not for me. Not.
No.
I mean, twinkish, but
Now-
now if
Close
listen,
your eyes and imagine blonde hair on that.
See, I was about to fucking say.
Yeah.
It. I was about to say, okay, now.
See, you can fix this with a can of bleach.
Okay. Listen, Timothy Chalamet is very attractive. I will give you that.
Uh-huh.
But if he had long blonde hair that I could pull, then we would really be talking.
I honestly, I don't think I've seen a movie that has him in it that I haven't just liked because he's amazing in that movie.
I mean, he is a very good performer, but also now I can't get this whole blonde thing out of my head. I don't know. Oh, well.
I've been practicing my mental flashbangs, and I've gotten pretty good at
Mental flashbang out.
it. Yeah.
Blonde.
Ha.
Yeah, careful. Yeah, so, Call Me Uranus. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a good joke. Call me by your something. Come on, think about it. Think about it. Come on.
My mind just keeps on wanting to go back to the peach thing.
Call me
The
doctor. Call me a doctor. Call the doctor. Anyway, I don't know. I got nothing over here. I'm too brain dead to come
Okay.
up with good jokes about the film's title.
Excellent jokes.
Listen, the Fight Club episode where I was just like, yeah, Fight Club is, where a bunch of guys get together in a fuck club, and they all fuck each
Yeah.
other. I'm never going to top that.
No.
I'm never going to top
Sounds
Well, and also
pretty
this
good.
top that. But no. This movie is almost immune from criticism because I can't be like, ha ha ha, it's gay because it's gay.
Yeah.
I can't be like, dude movie, Sigma movie is gay, stupid gay. You're over there being like homophobic, but your movie's all gay and shit. I can't do that because the movie is gay.
Yeah. So I think one thing I noticed.
My one joke.
Your one joke.
My one superpower, calling men gay. I can call them straight. Yeah, this movie's awkwardly straight, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I
there's
find
a lot
it
of
weirdly straight.
There's too much sex with women in this movie.
There is a lot of uncomfortable, unhappy sex with women in this film.
Yeah.
But it's not like over-dramatized unhappiness. It's just sort of like they fuck, and then Elio's like, well, I'm going to go eat some potato chips.
I'm gonna go.
And he leaves.
Grab a peach.
Yeah, and they're just like, okay, well,
So this may have just been me being high on edibles.
yes,
But were there shots in this movie that lingered for like 30 fucking seconds?
yes.
Okay.
The thing is, this film is directed by Luca Guadagnini. I probably pronounced that wrong, and everyone is currently typing really fast. He directed the Suspiria remake as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he has a thing for like, I'm gonna call it new Italian neo-realism. And if anybody says that is not going to be okay to call this, then you can fuck off. I'm going to call it new Italian. Well, it might be Spanish. I don't actually know. Can you look this motherfucker up?
Yes. But if you disagree with us and our ideas, I demand satisfaction, and we will settle Pistols at Dawn.
Oh, Pistols at Dawn. Okay, tell me more about Luca Guadagnini. I want to know his last name so that I can pronounce it correctly.
Why do I have an alarm about to go off?
You're
never
going
mind.
to jail.
I am.
It's time for your
We're
court hearing.
it's your take is Excrement, but we fight off cops while we record the podcast.
Yeah. Anyway,
Let's see. Ew, he's Sicilian.
okay.
I don't know why I said ew. I don't really care either way.
Is that more Italian or more? What's his last name?
Guadagnino.
Guadagnino.
I'm not very good with Italian.
Okay, we're getting somewhere, but
Uh,
let's get let's go with Italian. New Italian neo-realism is what I'm going to call it. The reason I'm calling it this is because it's very akin to filmmaking styles of well, the guy who made 8.5. I can't remember his name right now. Why can't I remember his name? Oh my god, I'm worthless today. But yeah, no, it's very reminiscent of that sort of vibe. Even like kind of Bergman-y. And a lot of people are gonna be like, but it's like a modern gay movie. But like, it has this pace to it that is something we don't really see very often, which is basically it will let it'll let the scene run in a master shot. It'll give a plenty amount of action, and also every camera move feels very intentional.
Right.
But also it is very delicate, lingering, very slow, very
Right.
intentional. But it will just let things play out in masters. So that I feel like that is something that is very neo-Italian.
Yeah. Well, there's a
Italian neo-realism.
There's a quote by
Yeah.
him that directly applies to this, and it's I
Yes.
think beauty is a very overrated concept. In particular, what is overrated is the idea that beauty comes from objectivity, or beauty comes objectively. From
Yes.
this perspective, I'm not interested in it at all. And I am definitely not interested in style. I'm interested in form and the shape of things, and in commitment to the degree of never letting go the quest for meaning of things. That can come off as beauty and style, but that's not where I start from.
Yeah. No. So that makes a lot of sense. So the weird thing is I would call it very blunt, this movie. I would not call it very with intent poetic. It feels like every camera move is trying to capture information in the shape of things. Like, and I just it's not very poetic. It's not very intentionally poetic. It's just very factual. Which is the exact same thing that I would say is true of Suspiria. It basically took all the poetry of Suspiria, sucked all that out, and just made it very neo-realistic.
Right.
So there's this director named Mikko Haneke, who we should probably watch one of his movies one day. I don't know which one, though. And also, I don't know how I feel if I like him or not. I genuinely don't know. He made this really good movie about a femcel called The Piano Teacher. That's really fucking good. Wow, that's like one of those hot takes you hear about. Anyway, yeah, he made a great movie about a femcel. But no. He does this thing as a filmmaker where it's just like really, really long takes, But it's not like long takes where they're show-offy,
Right.
where they're like, we do a bunch of stuff and then a plane comes through and then there's all this dialogue. It's none of that bullshit. And also, I'm of the mind that long takes are not very effective generally. I think usually if you just do it with edits, it usually makes the moment hit so much harder.
Right.
And also, our eyes like edits generally.
Yeah.
And usually, whenever a filmmaker's trying to impress me with a long take, I'm finding myself not paying attention to the beauty of the story or the thing that I'm supposed to be paying attention to. It's like
So what
it's like the director going, "Hey, look at me over here." You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is you don't like that long take in Avengers Endgame.
Which one?
The one where Spider-Man's like holding on to the wait. Isn't there a really obnoxious long take?
Probably, but
And I was
don't
trying to
even-
make fun of it.
Admittedly,
overly
I
CGI.
I
and
do not remember a fucking thing about Avengers Endgame.
I remember not liking it.
I didn't like it either, but
I liked Infinity
anyway.
War.
Okay, all right. So the thing about Mikael Haneke is
Okay.
that he does these long takes, but nothing fucking happens in them. He will literally just set up a camera in a spot. We will watch as people walk through. Things happen, things don't happen. There's dialogue, but it's way in the background. And we just sit there for like fucking 5 minutes.
Right.
And just like nothing is happening. But then you realize there's like one or two things or something will happen at the end of the shot. And then things will change. And so there's almost this like intentional boringness that is instigated into the film.
Right.
It derives its pace. It tells you what the pace is going to be, and
Right.
you have to accept it. And that's very funny.
Uh-huh.
But also, so, like, he kind of, like, has very similar vibes to, I feel, Luca,
Right.
our director of Call Me By Your Name, where it's, like, it's mostly there to show you the banality and nuances of moments. Which is to say, like, something crazy and exciting and brutal and insane could be happening, but it's going to happen randomly at the end of, like, a really long, banal sequence where we don't expect it. And then very suddenly something happens and then going right back to nothing.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of times we don't see the things that are really impactful, you know, like, you know, people who are in shootings, right? They hear the shooting, but a lot of them don't actually see the shooter or get shot at. They just hear it, and that in and of itself is so deeply traumatizing, you know? And so it's like this like banality, it's happening in the other room, like, but it's something horrific, perhaps, or something intense or something. And so the bit is about the nuances of those moments and not actually the action in and of itself. And so that is like a methodology of a long take that I actually kind of fuck with. And I feel like Luca like has a very similar neo-realistic style where his mindset is like, we're going to plop a camera down. It's going to be a very like well-framed shot, but for the most part, we're going to get information down in there, and if we linger on it, it's going to only enhance those like little nuanced moments. And those little nuances are going to be the thing that make this what it is more than anything intentionally there, if that makes sense. It's almost like if you want the film to live, it has to coexist in life. And life isn't very fast-paced.
I'm sorry, I just had to
It's
wake the
okay.
computer back up with my toe.
Yeah, but life isn't very fast-paced, and life is usually like long bursts of nothing followed by random
Right.
And that is very much kind of the energy of Call Me By Your Name.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a very, very, very long chase throughout the movie.
Right. That ends in tragedy.
Yeah, but it ends in tragedy so suddenly.
Right.
And it's unexpected, and you're like, huh.
It's like getting
Weird.
sidelined, you know, just like, oof.
Yeah, but then, like, the last shot of the movie, right, is almost exactly the thing that I'm describing, that long take vibe, where
Right.
they just set a camera down and Timothée Chalamet just kind of cries by the fireplace.
Yeah.
For like a really long fucking time, and you hear people fucking around in the background,
Yeah.
and it's Christmas, so there's a bunch of Christmas shit going on, and he's just sitting there, just
Crying.
crying, and he's not hiding it, but he's also not,
Broadcasting it.
he's not broadcasting, yeah. So he's just kind of crying, and
He's just dealing with it by himself.
and so it ends up being the most emotional kind of cry because he's not really trying not to cry. He just is crying and is not without intent. His body's just going.
Right.
And the long take is more portraying the nuances of the lingering loneliness that he now has to experience. Because like every moment without that character, those two characters together feels weirdly criminal and wrong after a point because they just feel so naturally like they go together. And so he's just like sitting there silently crying over the entire credit sequence, which is what?
No, carry on.
But which is meant to just highlight like literally every second of his life is now going to be that weird silence of not having that. And
Right.
it makes you really feel it. It makes you really, really feel it. And so, like, that in and of itself is almost stronger than had they done some big stylish, and then he has a big cry about it, and,
Yeah.
a big thing. And so most of the things that happen in the movie are just, like, subtle conversational bits, and that usually covers the majority of the emotional basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what else has long takes?
What?
We do.
Oh, fuck you. Sorry, I don't know why that took me so long.
I'm sorry. I was cooking. I was hanging on to that one for a while.
Looks like we're coming down to the last, like, 10 or so minutes.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about this film's quality?
Qual.
Well, you know how we do at the end where we determine whether we like the film or not.
Yeah.
Do you have any other spicy, fun, hot takes?
I don't know. It's one of those. There's a couple movies we've watched where I think I would have had much better takes if I could have watched it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, fair.
So I think that like I have like it's like the seeds of my takes have been planted. They need to be watered with rewatches.
Fair. Well, the other thing I will add is that there's this bit where they read poetry to each other because this movie is gay.
Yeah.
And they talk about, is it better to speak or to die?
Yeah.
Which is kind of that, it's the 17-year-old gay vibe, right? Or it's the, coming out vibe where it's like, is it better to openly acknowledge who you are or just to die in silence and never actually live? And so if you never live and then you die, you've wasted your life. So is wasting your life generally better than dealing with the absolute nightmare, the bullshit that comes with actually speaking?
Right.
And also putting yourself in that vulnerable spot where someone can hurt you that bad, because you're very limited in what your life is going to be, so you don't really want things you don't want to lose, you can't, it's a big risk to take and then lose.
Right.
And, everybody loses with enough time, but like, the question is, is it better to, well, that old, is it better to have loved and lost than not to have loved?
Yeah.
Is it better to, like, put yourself in a vulnerable spot, or is it better to die? And the argument is actually fairly nuanced, even though it seems like it would be so common sense to be like, well, speak. Obviously, you should be who you are. You should not just be lame and die. But when the threat and the punishment for speaking ends up being, like it is in the United States during the 80s, where it's like AIDS crisis, general bigotry and hatred, social disacceptance, Reagan era shit. Like, is it better to just die?
Right.
Because that shit sucks. So, like, if they're going to make your life hell, or if you, in and of yourself, are going to find your life being hell because you're so fucking lonely, like, which is better? And I think that the film fairly well argues that it's better to speak because with that scene with the dad where the dad's like, yeah, I got married to a woman and I'm having a great time as a gay man.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, don't do it. Don't. He, like, grabs Elio by the shirt and he, like, pulls him up to his face and he's like, don't fucking be straight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stop. No more fucking sex with women. You go get your dick sucked, kid. It's very intimidating, admittedly. If my dad would have done that to me, I would have killed him. I would have been like, excuse me? Who are you? We don't have a relationship. Anyway, the bit is mostly just that is the debate of the film.
Right.
And the way that the film kind of in a weird way answers this debate is with that song that I mentioned at the beginning, that Love My Way song.
Uh-huh.
Which I don't know if you've ever looked into that song, but
not really, to be
well,
entirely honest.
that song, the first line is there's an army on the dance floor. The bit being it's just like, okay, so we've got a bunch of gay people in the 80s. There's another line in it where it's like they're going to put us on a train and take us away.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, you know, basically being open about the fact that, like, people are in for not only marginalization but genocide for being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for them to, like, fight against that, there has to be, they have to form an army on the dance floor with the other gays. And then they have to actually stand up for Love Their Way, which is, the chorus is like, love my way, it's a new road, love my way, I just go where my mind goes, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So it's like talking about just like, yo, this is inherent. We don't choose this. And so it was like very literally one of the first things that was just like this whole debate about do I speak or die is dumb in a lot of ways because we don't get to choose. You know, we are who we are. We are what we are. We just go where our mind goes. And if that is something that is going to be punished by society, then so fucking be it. We form an army on the dance floor and we fight back. But, like, there's no sense in trying to be like something you're not because it's, like, genuinely impossible to do against what your mind desires.
Right.
Like, in a weird way, the movie ideologically answers it with a song from the 80s. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I
Gold, mid, or shit? Abandon all nuance.
Abandon all nuance.
Let's go.
Gold.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Whoa. I didn't see that coming. I thought you were
That's
going
a
to at
spicy
least.
meatball.
I thought at the most you were going to do mid.
Mid?
Yeah.
No, well, see, here's the problem.
Oh.
Is the movie has Timothy Chalamet.
Oh yeah, he's a twink, so you gotta like it.
I desperately like Timothy Chalamet.
Is it because you feel like he might be a femboy?
Okay, like.
Do you have a thing for femboys?
On top of blonde hair, imagine Timothy Chalamet with like cat ears.
Oh, meow.
Yeah.
Fucking
Catboy Chalamet.
We watch him fuck some fruit in his cat ears.
No, so
Meow.
on top of me just like really loving Timothy Chalamet.
Yes.
I think that I really like. I don't know. I really like the pacing of the movie a lot.
Yeah.
I just think that Timothy Chalamet and Armie Hammer play off each other phenomenally.
Yeah.
I think there's like a lot of like really.
It's a shame about that whole draining women's blood.
Yeah, it's a shame about Armie
thing.
Hammer being a weird sex pest.
Yeah.
But in this movie, as actors together,
they're rather good.
They have
good.
chemistry. They have chemistry.
One might say. The way I sold you on this movie was I was like, there's a scene in this where somebody does something unspeakable, and you were like, well, tell me what happens, and I'm like, no, it's unspeakable. I can't say what it is. And of course, I'm talking about the scene where he comes in the peach, and then Army Hammer eats the peach. Anyway, that in my brain is like. Anyway, that's how I sold you on the movie. So I got to ask, did it live up to the hype? Was it as shocking as I said?
I don't know. I have a pretty high shock threshold at this point.
Yeah, you've been hanging with me for a while.
Like, it's like you can't show me Sallow and then be like, "This is gonna shock you."
It's a hot boy pretending to come in a peach.
Yeah, after
Now this
like,
is shocking.
Like after Sallow, it's like, oh well. I mean, at least he didn't get drawn and quartered while having shit shoved in his mouth.
That's true. Thank God for that.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Thank
the Lord.
Yeah. So gold.
Gold.
I would like
Okay.
to. I'm gonna wait a couple months and watch it again.
About the Sigma male angle.
Do
Do you hate it for that at all? Like, I don't know. It's weird how.
So see, here's the problem. Is like, yeah, I don't. For me, like, you have to interpret Sigma movies by their cultural impact in that in that group of shit asses.
Yeah.
So I haven't. I legitimately haven't seen any 4chan shit ass like post a picture of Timothy Chalamet or Arnie Hammer and be like, wow,
drooling
this is
over
literally
this.
me.
Yeah.
I got fucked in the ass by an older dude.
Yeah. Well, I will say, at the time, or at least in the last year or two, I've seen a lot of this, like, yeah, Elio's life is literally like mine, like growing up like that, and then all this stuff happening, and then like how that affected my life, later on, is literally me. And this is why I bring it up as being like well, that's not necessarily fantastic.
Right. Yeah, that's not
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. I don't know if I'd be too proud of that one.
Yeah.
If possible. So I don't know. I'm gonna give. I'm gonna go with gold. But I'm gonna admit it's a bit begrudging, even though I like the movie, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the movie this time around, because I expected that I was gonna be really yikesed out. But I felt that the movie was very delicate, which made me upset. Because then I can't. So I read Lolita. I even read it recently.
Yeah.
Lolita is not delicate. It is a man very bold-faced being open about his pedophilia, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's like pedophilia apologia." It's not. Like, if you read that and think that is not portraying him to be the creepiest fuck on the planet, I don't know. Maybe maybe you're the creepiest fuck on the planet. You know what I mean?
Learn how to differentiate between a protagonist and a good guy.
Exactly. So my mention of that here is that I think that while this movie could potentially exhibit a lot of pretty bad literally me shit, and also some pretty bad like gay cis dude Sigma male bullshit, it's in there. There's no it's not in there. It's in there.
See, this movie is saved because most Sigma males are obnoxiously right-wing.
Well,
and
true.
They're not going to watch this movie, right? So if in Drive, like, it was about the driver going after a twink.
Yeah,
like,
it would have been a different story.
4chan would never have touched it.
Right. But, like, yeah, I don't know. My main point here is just that I think if we can all agree that Lolita is a piece of critical media and not necessarily an endorsement, and a lot of people really misread it, and while yes, I think that the cultural reaction to it has been bad, I actually really don't think that it's too much the fault of Nabokov. I don't think he encourages it too much, because the book is very bold-faced about what it is, right? I would say the same is true of Call Me By Your Name.
Mm-hmm.
While yes, there are these like weird Sigma male bullshit things in there, for the most part, it is a piece that is critical of the vibe of like how most like, or a lot of cis gay dudes find out that they're gay because some dude that's like 30 grooms them so that they can fuck them. Like what? Ooh, a hot femboy bottom. I gotta go for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And the movie acknowledges this. The movie acknowledges that, like, they did have something. It's a shame that that Armie Hammer was kind of just using Elio for the time that they were together,
Right.
and then was just gonna fuck off and not, back him up. So I feel like if you watch the movie and actually get a reading on it, then you're going to learn that it's not an endorsement of these things that a lot of people see in it, in the same way that Lolita is not an endorsement of a lot of the things that people see in it. So we do need to talk about this weird vibe of, like, dudes going after young guys, right? But I feel like this was a fairly successful way of doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with gold. Sorry.
Yeah.
I liked that. I think that I'm not gonna do the thing where it's like only immature people feel whatever, but I do feel like there's a level of maturity to your media analysis where you have to be like, okay, how, like, as much as this might appall me, how much of this is like a story that desperately needs to be told and I need to listen to it, even if it bothers me, because, like, it being bothersome is usually a tie to it being, like, relevant in a weird way, and it's not really trying to shock you with it. It's trying to tell that story and its relevance.
Right.
So that's podcast, I think.
That's podcast. Let us know in the comments what you want the
next season
to be. Whether we kind of go back to our general vibe, or if we keep on doing Sigma stuff.
Lord knows we're having fun.
Lord knows, and we have plenty more Sigma movies to do.
Yes.
So just let us know. Thank y'all for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Now I'm going to go shit my pants.